Hello and welcome. I hear that you want to learn about the Milan Art Institute Mastery Program, specifically the mixed media portion of the program. So, you will go through different mediums such as acrylic paint, collage, spray paint, mark making, gold leaf, all the good stuff, and basically figure out which medium you like to work with the most. And you get to play and experiment and have a good time with all these different mediums. And each week, Ellie and Demetra will teach you how to use each of these individual mediums. And each week, you create two pieces using those mediums. And all along the way, you are deciding or figuring out which mediums you like to use and which mediums you maybe don't like to use so much. The first week you are in the program, you get to switch back to acrylic painting, which is actually a really good time because the whole first section of the program, which is the oil and drawing foundations part of the program. Actually, if you haven't seen that, I did a review about that portion of the program before this one, so I'll go ahead and link that up here for you. But for the first 4 months of the program, you are literally just drawing with charcoal and pencils, and you're painting with only oils, no acrylics, no other fun mediums, right? So it's such a relief to finally get to switch back to acrylics, especially for me who is mostly used to acrylics. My goodness, it's so much more fun to paint quickly with the fast drying medium that acrylic can provide. So I'll go ahead and show you my acrylic piece right here, flash that up on the screen for you. And I have such a good time with acrylics, just can't say that enough. And then the next week you move into collage, right? So you are going and collaging different pieces of paper, tissue paper down on your canvas, and then you go ahead and paint on top of that, which I didn't think I would like, but I actually really, really liked. I use that now in my process, which these are pieces from my portfolio, and believe it or not, there is collaged tissue paper and pattern paper under some of these. And the way they teach collage is actually really subtle and, in my opinion, very classy way to use the collage materials where you can't actually see them too much when you're finished, but I think it adds a really nice texture and subtlety in the background that you couldn't normally get with just paints alone. The week after that, I believe you move into spray paint, which I thought I would love because, hello, spray paint sounds like a really fun time, but I actually didn't like spray paint as much as I thought I would. I'll go ahead and flash up some of my spray paint pieces here for you. They actually turned out really good, but I don't know, spray paint kind of scares the crap out of me. Yeah, but I bought like a bunch. I think I bought like 10 different colors of spray paints, just the minis, just because I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna love it so much. Like, anyway, long story short, I didn't love it, and it's not a part of my process now. But that's why you get to try and experiment with these different mediums. After that, you go into what's called mark making. So you get to use a whole bunch of fun, like different tools, like adult crayons, and you can use charcoal if you want. There's like this rub on charcoal, there's charcoal powder. Anyway, you end up putting a bunch of marks in the background of your painting. And then on top of that, you go ahead and paint. So you can, in the end, you can see a bunch of your marks. And I'll go ahead and flash some of my pieces here for you so you can kind of see the different marks in each of my pieces. Specifically in this one, I actually don't like this piece anymore. Loved it when I first made it, but now I look back at it and I'm like, dang, it's chaotic. Anyway, you can see the different mark makings in the background, right? So you kind of just go ham, right? Create as much marks as you want in the background and then paint on top of it, kind of editing out the different marks you don't want, marks you do want. And I kind of like this medium. I use it a little bit in my pieces now. You can sort of see it in some of these, but once again, it kind of is my thing, kind of not. And then after you learn those like top 4 mediums, I believe that's it. Yeah. After you use those top 4 mediums, you are kind of set loose to figure out your own process, right? So they go into a week all about abstract painting. So they teach you what makes an effective, sellable abstract painting. There's different, criteria you can meet to make it not just like paint on a canvas, but to actually make it, have depth and have a color story. And Ellie goes into deep detail about how to make an effective abstract. So finally, if you're an abstract artist, you get to finally dive back into that instead of having to focus so much on realism. So in that week, you really find out what your process is going to look like. So, what are your steps going to be? Are you going to start with the spray paint? Are you going to start with the mark making? Are you going to start with the collage? And then what do you do after that? And my process, as I was finding out, is a lot about doing a layer of collage. Then I do a layer of texture with modeling paste, which is super fun. And then I do an acrylic wash. I do some acrylic blocking in, and then on top of that, I do a layer of oils to really define everything and make things, bold and contrast and definitive, blah, blah, blah. So that week is really about finding your process and experimenting till you do find what your process is going to look like. And you actually spend the next couple of weeks finding your process, fine tuning your process, figuring out what you like to paint and how you like to paint it, which is really, really fun and also really, really scary and daunting at times. To be honest, I struggled through some of that sometimes because you have so much freedom, right? Like you have all the freedom in the world to create. You get to use your own references in this section, which is cool. You get to paint however you want to paint, use whatever mediums you want to paint with, which is so great, but also a lot. So this part of the program, it takes a lot of digging deep and figuring out who you are as a painter and how you like to paint, which takes me to the other part of this program, right? So not only are you learning all about these different mediums, playing with them, experimenting, but you're also figuring out your voice as an artist and what you want to say with your paintings and, kind of who you are overall and how that influences your artwork. And so what's really cool about this program is they take you through different archetypes. So there's a quiz about, which kind of archetypes are you? And a couple of mine are, first of all, cool, it's a quiz, right? So you do like a 35-question quiz to figure out which archetypes you are. And my archetypes, a couple of main ones are the mystic, the explorer, magician, the hero, queen. And you can kind of see those showing up in my art, especially I think mystical shows up, and seeker, explorer. There's a magical element to my pieces, right? It's really cool. And you use that information to influence your paintings, to figure out what subject matter you're going to paint, how your subjects are going to be portrayed in your paintings. It's really valuable information about yourself as a person and as an artist. And then on top of that, you also get to find out your temperament as a painter. And your temperament is really important because it informs how you paint. Okay, so there's 4 different temperaments. I fall into what's called the dominant / influential, which is like kind of in between 2 different temperaments. But this temperament, clearly, we like to move fast. We like to move quick. We like high contrast. We like boldness. We like just kind of in your face situations, in your face subject matter. As you can tell, pretty like high energy. And the other side of that, other temperaments, some of them which are more of, I think it's called compliant or steady. Those temperaments are more, slow paced. They like details. They like to really dive into the process and take their time with it, let it evolve and really like stay the course in a nice, steady process. Whereas mine, I'm just like throwing paint on there, texture, splatters. So your temperament is really important because if you're painting in a way that's not in alignment with your temperament, you're going to be bored. You're going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel stuck. Like if I was painting slowly and controlled and like a lot of fine details, I would lose my mind. I wouldn't be having a good time. And because I'm trying to become a professional artist, which is what this program is made for, I need to like the way I paint. If I'm going to be painting 40 hours a week, I need to like painting. So if I paint in alignment with my temperament, which is fast paced and exciting, then I'm going to have a good time and I'm going to want to keep coming back to the studio, want to keep coming back to the easel. So learning your temperament is really important and they walk you through how to figure that out as well. And it's just really informative. So this section as a whole is packed full of content, right? Another thing they throw in there is a whole, I think it's like a 45-minute to an hour-long lesson about art history, which is so valuable because you learn about the different eras of art that have come before us, right? It informs history, it informs why we exist as artists and why we have existed in the past as artists and how we got to where we are now. And Ellie does a great job of explaining all those different elements and how that informs now as an artist and why now is the best time to be an artist and why that matters. And I think that's extremely valuable. So yeah, this program is just chock full of information. Like I can't even imagine not growing as an artist during this part of the program. I mean, you're just getting so much information week to week, right? And it just kind of takes the preciousness out of creating art because every week you are painting 2 paintings and you kind of just have to keep going, right? And to be totally transparent, there were some weeks where I was kind of bummed about the way my paintings were turning out, you know, because there is so much experimentation and so much freedom. I started to get kind of like lost here and there, right? Like I'd be like, oh, like that painting didn't turn out and ugh, I don't like it. But the thing is, like in the past, I would have just like been like, oh, I'm a bad artist and like I'm just gonna stop painting for months, right? I'm just gonna stick it in the corner and pretend like it doesn't exist and come back to painting later, maybe. And with this program, like you don't have that option, right? Like, let's say you do create a painting you don't really like one week, you just kind of move on, right? You say, well, I have this next week of lessons and I'm just gonna keep going. And you paint 2 more paintings the next week. And because of that, like it really just takes the preciousness out of it, and you are kind of forced to grow as an artist. You're forced to keep moving, and forced in the very best way, forced in a good way, right? Like you just like, you keep growing and evolving and becoming in this program, and there's just so much information guiding you towards your truest self as an artist, informing yourself about who you are, informing who you are informs how you paint and what you like to paint and what you like to create, and that makes all the difference, right? You evolve as an artist, and in this program I've gained so much confidence as an artist that I did not have before, right? I've made over $3,000 worth of sales of my art without even having launched a website yet, which is just crazy. And because of that, I believe that I can become a professional artist. I believe in myself more than I ever have before, and I wouldn't have gotten there without this program, without, you know, painting every day and creating so much work in this program. I just can't recommend this program enough, really. Like, I am not just saying that. I think if you want to become a professional artist, if you have any little inkling and desire to become a professional artist, this is the way to do it. They give you a step-by-step roadmap to doing it, and it works. Like I can totally see myself becoming a full-time artist in the next 6 months when I finish this program. Like it is inevitable because I show up, because I paint. Like I'm painting 30 hours a week and creating 2 paintings a week. How could I not become a professional artist after this, right? Like my style is emerging and evolving, and it's incredible to be a part of. And if you want this, if you want to be a professional artist, and I want that for you, this is the way to do it. Just join the program if you're interested. I can't recommend it enough. So I think that is all I have to say about this part of the program. I will be posting a review about the portfolio section of the program probably in about a month or so. I'm still in the middle of my portfolio, as you can tell, but stay tuned for that. I'm also planning on doing a video all about my production week, which is going to be a whole week where I'm painting 10 paintings in 1 week. Wish me luck. But if you are looking forward to seeing those videos from me, please feel free to subscribe and like this video if it was helpful for you and informative about the program. And I had such a good time hanging out with you, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, guys.